You finish one thing, and instead of relief, there's another thought waiting, another task, another worry, another invisible pressure. Even when nothing is technically wrong, your mind refuses to settle. You tell yourself you should feel calm by now, satisfied by now, grateful by now. But instead, there's this constant sense that something is unfinished, something is missing, something is chasing you from the inside, and you can't quite explain why. You try to rest, but rest doesn't feel restful, silence doesn't feel quiet. Stillness feels heavy. Your body is on the couch, but your mind is pacing, planning, replaying conversations, imagining future problems that haven't happened yet. You scroll, not because you want to, but because stopping feels uncomfortable, almost unsafe. And you wonder why your brain acts like peace is something to be solved instead of something to be felt. At first, it looks like productivity, ambition, being driven. You tell yourself this is just how motivated people are, always thinking, always improving, always preparing. But underneath that surface, there's something else happening. Something quieter, deeper, and much more personal. Because this restlessness doesn't actually come from wanting more. It comes from never feeling allowed to stop. When you grow up in an environment where calm was unpredictable, your nervous system learns a very specific lesson. It learns that stillness is temporary, that safety can disappear without warning, that being relaxed means being unprepared. So instead of resting, your mind stays alert. Instead of settling, it scans. It's not trying to ruin your peace. It's trying to protect you from the shock of losing it. And this is where it gets interesting. Because mental restlessness isn't about having too many thoughts. It is about having a nervous system that doesn't recognize enough as a real state. You don't stop because you never learned what stopping feels like without consequences. You learn how to be useful, how to be needed, how to stay one step ahead. But you never learn how to simply be. So even when life is quiet, your mind fills the space. Even when things are okay, your body stays tense. Even when there's nothing urgent, you feel an invisible deadline hovering over you. And the strangest part is this: the more you achieve, the more restless you become. Because achievement was never meant to bring rest. It was meant to earn safety. You start tying your worth to momentum. If you're moving, you're okay. If you're progressing, you're safe. If you're improving, you're valuable. But the moment you slow down, anxiety creeps in. Guilt, self-criticism, a voice that whispers you're falling behind, wasting time, missing something important. And you listen to that voice because at some point, it kept you surviving. This is especially common in your 20s, when your identity still feels unfinished. You're told these years define your future, that every choice matters, that rest is something you earn later. So your mind stays busy, not because you enjoy it, but because stopping feels like failure. And when you don't know who you are yet, productivity becomes a substitute for identity. But here's the thing. A restless mind is often a sign of unprocessed emotion, not a lack of discipline. Your brain isn't noisy because you're weak. It's noisy because it's carrying things that were never given space to land. Feelings you had to ignore. Needs you learned to minimize. Fear you learned to outrun instead of feel. So your mind keeps moving, hoping one day it will finally arrive somewhere safe, somewhere finished, somewhere done. But there is no finish line for a nervous system that never learned how to rest without danger. And this is where the long-term impact shows up. Chronic mental restlessness doesn't just exhaust you. It disconnects you from yourself. You lose touch with your internal signals because you're always overriding them. You stop trusting your body because your mind is always louder. Decisions become harder. Joy becomes muted. Presence feels rare. Life feels like something you're constantly preparing for instead of living. You might even notice that calm moments feel strangely uncomfortable, like you're forgetting something. Like you should be doing more, like you don't deserve to feel at ease yet. And instead of asking why, you distract yourself again. Because sitting with that discomfort would mean facing the belief underneath it. the belief that rest has to be justified. But you were never meant to live in a constant state of mental readiness. You were meant to have cycles: effort and recovery, focus and release, movement and stillness. The problem isn't that your mind won't stop. The problem is that it never learned when it's allowed to. And here's the truth. Real rest doesn't come from forcing your thoughts to quiet down. It comes from teaching your nervous system that nothing bad happens when you stop, that you don't disappear when you're still, that your worth doesn't evaporate when you're not producing. The shift begins when you stop asking, "How do I think less?" and start asking, "What does my mind not feel safe enough to put down?" Because restlessness is a message. And once you learn how to listen to it with compassion instead of frustration, it starts to soften. You don't need to become a calmer person. You need to become a safer place for yourself, one where stillness doesn't feel like a threat, one where enough finally means enough, and one where your mind doesn't have to keep running just to prove that you deserve to exist. You're not broken for feeling this way. You adapted. And now, you're allowed to learn something new.